Hello guys, the DB Grinder here, back at it again with another video, and this time I'm going to do a tier list on HandTrap's post-Phantom Nightmare. But before we hop into that, I'm going to be doing a giveaway for an SP Little Knight. All you have to do to enter this is like the video, comment anything down below, and subscribe, and the winner will be chosen in 72 hours. Good luck. And then hopping right into the tier list now, let's just go ahead and start with, the most obvious one, Shifter at the very top. This category is called Shifter Maxi because, let's be honest, this hand trap is just, it's better than all the other hand traps by a very wide margin. It's just a super broken hand trap. Like, if your deck can play this card, your deck should be playing this card. This card is crazy. But okay, now we can go ahead and move down past that one to main deck worthy. Then we'll go through that one, then we'll just keep going down. So main deck worthy. Ash Blossom is main deck worthy. This card is a little bit weird against the fire decks, since if this is like the only hand trap you'll have, they'll most likely play through it, and also it'll act as an extender for them because of Hida. But this card is also very good against every deck that's not one of the fire decks. Like, every deck that's not one of the fire decks, Ash Blossom is like probably good against, right? Which I do think is nice, and it's nice to have a deck that's good against, a wide field, especially because, like, the first few rounds at a YCS, like, maybe, like, the first 5 or 6 rounds at a YCS, you're not guaranteed to play against just Fire King Snake Eye, Fire King Snake Eye, Rescue Ace. You can play against other things, too. And I also think Ash is, like, pretty decent against Rescue Ace anyhow. But now going on to Duel and Lockbird, this card's also main deck worthy. This card is, it's decent going into the format overall. I do think this card may have gotten too much hype at the beginning of post-Phantom Nightmare testing. I think people have learned how to beat this card more and more. Deck lists are also like leaning against playing this card. Like, they're cutting out like more search things and stuff like that. Unless you're playing like the Snake Eye deck with like the Engage in it and stuff. And then Engage does play in the draw a little bit more. But pure Snake Eye also plays around draw very well. Going on to the next main deck worthy card, we have Imperm. This card is nice. Also, okay, there we go. Okay, Imperm is really nice. This card dodges stuff like Talons and Thrust. We've seen a lot of people main deck Talons, and we've seen more people start moving into Thrust. Not just main decking Thrust either. Some of them side deck it. But Thrust can go ahead and set powerful things like Karma Cannon. We've seen people set Rumple from the deck, or the Black Goat Laughs. DDG, like actual like floodgate things like that can lock people out of a turn. So Imperm's strong with that. You can also draw it as a 6 card and it'll still be good, which is nice. And then let's see, next main deck worthy card, we got Veiler. Veiler is, I do think it's main deck worthy. I think you'd probably play some other hand traps before you play the Veiler. But I do think Veiler's nice. You can hit stuff like Snake Eye Ash with it. Against Rescue Ace, you just kind of try to hit them early on. You don't want them to get to like the Turbulence SP board, because once they get to that point, Veiler doesn't really do anything. You'll have to have 2 Veilers to stop the opponent from resolving a Turbulence. So even though this card isn't the most impactful hand trap, I do think it's still pretty decent. It is pretty much Imperm, but Imperm's definitely stronger. Drawing it as a 6, doesn't play in the Talons, called by, stuff like that. People are main decking called by too. Now let's see, another main deck worthy hand trap. Nib is very strong, in my opinion. I think Nib is very strong. I kind of want to move draw up a little bit, but I think it's probably fine to keep it like that. I do think Nib is very good, especially if you compare it with another hand trap. Nib by itself, a lot of people are going to be able to play around it or play through it, by setting up maybe like an Arvanta Flamebird, or just keeping Flamebird up, or Temple to summon Oak, or just simply resolving Turbulence and then playing into the Nib, stuff like that. And then being able to get Princess in Graveyard also helps like set up interruptions through Nib. But if you have this paired with another hand trap, this card becomes very, very, very strong. We've seen that many times before, kind of like in the Adventure format, where a lot of people were playing Adventure decks. Nib was a very strong hand trap, but by itself, it usually didn't do a whole lot. But if you paired it with another hand trap, it became a lot stronger. Then let's see, main deck worthy, last one. I'll do Bell as the last main deck worthy hand trap. I have found this card to be better and better as I've been playing it more and more. I'm still kind of iffy on it. Like, personally, I'm like a side deck Bell player, but it's pretty decent in the main. It's just weird. It's weird overall. I'm not gonna lie. This is definitely a card that you should test a lot more than probably the other cards. The other cards, they're pretty, basic in what they do. But Bell, I feel like something that you need to test a decent amount. Okay, now we will move on to side deck worthy. Yeah, I think I got all the main deck stuff out of the way. So side deck worthy, I mean, come on. Let's just put Spooky Dogwood there. Let's be honest, this card is just there for when the timer is clicking down and you can drop a Spooky Dogwood. And, it's a good time card, right? It's a good time hand trap. That's like the definition of a side deck worthy card. Let's see, what else is there? Phantasm. I do think Phantasm is a really good side deck card, or at least a decently good side deck card. The fact that this can draw you into your other things, but one problem with it is people are playing like Talents, Thrust, so like you drop Phantasm on the opponent, you draw into other hand traps, and they Talents rip your hand to rip hand trap. It can hurt. Thrust, they might go with like Thrust and the Talents and then rip your hand. Phantasm can also get popped with stuff like Kieran, so they can like out this card, and then they could also use it as an extender with like Dark if they want to. So it's not like this card's like absolutely perfect in what it does, but I do think it's pretty decent. It also depends like what kind of build you're playing too. If you're playing like a lot of board breakers in your deck, this can also help you draw into board breakers. It can also help you protect against something like Princess. It also depends when you drop Phantasme, right? Because if you hold the Phantasme longer, then you might be able to drop it on like a Princess summon, and your opponent would have already gone through Kieran effect. They would have gone through the optimal time to be able to go into a Dark Charmer to then take this. So, maybe don't drop it on the first Link summon, but then, it depends like what you play, right? Because if you're trying to draw into hand traps, you don't want to drop Phantasme later, you want to drop it sooner. So it's a weird card. Then we'll do Moonlit Chill. Yeah, we'll do Moonlit. I think it's like a decent side deck card. It's pretty much like another copy of like Imperm Veiler, but it's also like weaker than those because you can't hit like a normal summon Snake Eye Ash. You kind of have to hold it. It's also another thing that's like good in time. If time is coming, hand traps that can do damage are nice. This card pretty much becomes no material depending on how much time's on the clock. Then Ghost Ogre. I don't want to. This card's pretty buns. I'm not gonna lie. Alright, whatever. I'll put it in buns just because I started talking about it already. But yeah, this card is, it's not very good. I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't feel very good. I know you can hit Fire King Island with it. And like, cool, you can hit Fire King Island with it. There's like nothing else to hit that's like that good with this card. You could be like, oh, hit Snake Eye Ash. Okay, well now your opponent's gonna go Populous, Original, and stuff. You could hit a Charmer with it, but then they're gonna get Charmer Search. Yeah, I don't know. This card just doesn't seem very good. Then Bestial. So Druisworm stands for Druisworm itself as a hand trap, and then Magmamut stands for like all the other like Bestials, like Baldrake, stuff like that. Just because Druisworm is like a strong card. We've actually seen this side deck has like a 3 of in like Unchained format and stuff. But I'd put all the Bestials are probably just not going to be played in this format. There's just not enough like light and dark decks for a DD Crow for that to really come up. Lancia is also pretty buns. Skullmeister is like, where would I put Meister? Would I put it like bottom of side deck worthy? Because I don't like this card too much. It doesn't seem that great into the format. So yeah, I'll put it at like the top of buns. Yeah, like right around there. Then let's see, DD Crow, side deck worthy. Delta, Gamma. So okay, Gamma. I want to talk about this. So I'll put this up here for like 2 seconds. It's not gonna stay up there, but I want to talk about it. Gamma's really awkward because Gamma itself is a very good card, right? We can all agree. It's pretty much like a Psalm Strike on the opponent's turn, but it does play in the Talents, Thrust. But it's a very good card overall. But it's at 1, and you also have to play a brick with it. So it's like you have 1 good card, 1 bad card. Something that you can do to make the driver not as bad is play something like Delta, which makes it so that way, you know, you have like, you know, 3 good cards. Well, 1 really good card, 2 to 3, or maybe just 1, 2, 3, you know, however many copies of this you play. You know, you have another side frame that works with the driver. The driver is obviously always going to stay bad. Like, this card's never going to be good. I don't know. It's awkward because Gamma is kind of nice. I'll probably put it like, maybe like this. And then maybe put this one a little bit down lower. Spooky Dogwood's just a weird card when talking about like a tier list because it could have its own category when it says like time, because that's really what this card is. So I'm just gonna have this at the bottom of side deck worthy. Also, it really depends because it seems like people are playing a little bit slower right now in Post Phantom Nightmare, and Post Phantom Nightmare is getting closer and closer to coming out. The games just have a lot of interactions, so people have to think longer on them. So, you know, you could say like Spooky Dogwood could be worth side decking, you know, if time's going to come up a lot, which it might come up a lot. But you could also stop time coming up as much just by you yourself playing a little bit faster. So I don't know. I don't think it's like tier format where like tier format, you know, going to time was something that's happening like a lot. Like it happened a very good amount of time where people would go to time. Even if you tried to play faster, like the opponent would naturally just take a while because of how much was going on. Then this is the new Ashen. Well, I know it's not an Ashen monster, but it's the dragon that like pops a field spell, quick effect. I think this card's pretty buns. I'm not gonna lie. I do think in the future this card could end up being good. I do think it's cool that there's like a HandTrap MST for field spells. But it's not going to be the greatest in the upcoming format. You know, you could say like, oh, Pop Island is a quick effect. Okay, you know, you pop Island, and then Island's going to activate to destroy their field. And then new Chain Link, you know, they can get like Flame Burge effect to summon back out. You know, this, you know, would have to be Chain Link too if you could activate it. It's not like this card is mandatory. If this card was mandatory to wipe the field, then sure. Because then this would be Chain Link 1, Flame Burge Chain Link 2, they summon back out, then pop everything. So, you know, you pretty much get to, like, board wipe twice through the Flame Burge effect, but that's just not how it's worded, that's just not how it's going to work. So I do think this card's not going to be the greatest. I do think in the future, this card could end up being a lot better. And honestly, I hope I'm wrong about this card being buns, because I think it's really cool that they have a HandTrap like that. Also, this tier list kind of worked out nice. Look at this. It kind of looks nice with how it is. 6 in each column, and then obviously like Shifter Maxi. Maxi is not legal in the TCG, so I don't have that up here. I think we can all agree that like out of all these HandTraps, you'd want to see Shifter. Not every deck can play Shifter though. But yeah, that is going to be it for the tier list. Let me know how you feel about it down below in the comments section. And again, if you want to enter the SP Little Night giveaway, just comment anything down below, like the video, and be subscribed, and you will be entered to win. I will pin the winning comment in 72 hours from now. Do not get scammed by bots. And the DB Grinder signing off. Peace. Have a nice day. Stay safe.